Sup? Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for joining. How you doing? Man, I'm tired. Holy moly, dude. You ever just be so tired in life? Man, the baby, she's doing great. Boys are helping out a lot. First week back at work, and oh no, it's been 2 weeks now. It's been 2 weeks now, and excuse me, but another week down, and it's getting better. It is getting better. It's getting easier, I guess, kind of, but man, tired, very tired. So I appreciate anybody who's out there praying. And yeah, we're cooking and booking, man. We're moving through John, and I'm really enjoying it. There's a so I'd mentioned in like the last episode, I think, that we like touched on in when Jesus is talking to Nicodemus in chapter 3? Is it chapter 3? I'm trying to memorize this stuff, guys. I've read it, countless. It feels like countless times, but I just don't. Yeah, chapter 3. Got it. About the John 3:16, and how there's different interpretations of it, and yeah, it's tough to come down on any one. I've listened to Mike Winger. I wish I had a Mike Winger background, dude. That'd be dope. But I don't. Used to, but we, after the baby, now I don't have an office in this room that I'm in here. It ain't it. Mike Winger's got such good background. He's got the background, and then everybody just copies him. Anyway, I listened to the long video about Mike Winger with do we choose or does God choose, or what's the balance there? You listen to MacArthur, you listen to Vody, you listen to I don't know, so many other people. I mean, just the debate goes back and forth and back and forth. Listen to Tarek or whatever his name is. Tarek. There's things are complicated and complex when it comes to predetermination, or this continual kind of open-ended, anybody can go. It's like you have to be able to. The thing is like, so there's a belief, for those who don't know, that God has already determined everybody that's going to heaven. We don't know. We do not know who that is. We don't know. He's already determined it. And he is just working the narrative together to save all those people who he just seemingly randomly determined. Unbiasedly just picked these folks. Hundreds of millions, maybe billions of people to save. Didn't have to save him. Could have just destroyed everyone. Spared Jesus. But he didn't. Said, I'm going to save. Could have saved everyone. But then that's not really the whole reveal, right? There's a revelation that's happening, right? This never happened. I don't know what he was doing before he created all this, but this is new stuff as far as I'm concerned. And these expressions and these concepts and these things that he's doing, he's not done. These are not that he wasn't able to do these things. It's the same, but perhaps these are the first expressions of those things. I don't know. But in any event, the narrative or the mission that he is on is to have us execute a few things on the way, right? We're executing our faith. We're, exercising our faith, exercising forgiveness and mercy and belief and a lot of different things. So to just save everyone, there's going to be a whole bunch of people who actively reject him. He's just going to drag them to heaven anyway. So that's just not the way he set things up. So yeah, there's a belief that all those things are predetermined. He's already decided who's going, and he's just working everything together to bring those people to him. And there's nothing that can be done to stop that. And nothing that can be done to increase that number. Number's the number. Then there's the other belief that it's an open book. Anybody can believe, and it's on you to convince them. Maybe not. That might be a dishonest way of saying it. It's for them to be convinced, one way or another. So it's just all on the convincing. It's up to them to be convinced. It's just, they have to be talked into it, or, however, convinced in some way, whether it's verbally or emotionally or through life or through revelation or through experience, whatever it is. They have to be convinced, and anybody is convincible for the most part. And again, this is generalizing. I'm sure there's like super nuanced versions of this that are far more, into the weeds and the nitty gritty, but just for the lay person, that's the gist of it. The Bible covers, the Bible leaves both of these things as sort of an option if you don't reconcile all of the text. The issue is you have to reconcile all the text. You can't, if you're being honest about, where you're trying to land, or in your pursuit of landing in the right area and your right understanding of this, you got to reconcile all of the text, right? The Bible does say that the names of the saints have been written down in the book of life since before the earth was made. So, already knew what he was going to do before he made anything. Then you have others like whoever believes will not perish. And so then, it died so the whole world might be saved. So then you have to know, is it the whole world? Is it, just a figure of speech? Is whoever actually whoever, or is it just still certain people? Or is it saying that, is it not indicating an actual whoever? Is the whoever just, yes, whoever believes might be saved? And the whoever's are the chosen ones, whatever. People don't like that. It's the chosen ones and all that kind of, but that's the idea. Now, there's a few things that so over the course of the Old Testament, God does a whole series of choosing things. This, not that, this, not that, this, not that, all the way through the Old Testament, constantly. This, not that, him, not him, not him, them, not them. The whole entire Old Testament is just that. He chose Abel, not Cain. He chose Noah and his family. He chose Abraham. He chose Isaac, not Ishmael. He chose Jacob, not Esau. He chose Israel as a nation. The 12 sons of Jacob, not anybody else's. He chose Joseph, to go do this work and to be. He chose David. Lots of choosing. I'm sure I could go on. That's just off the dome. That's just off the dome. So he does these choosings all the time. And what I just listed is a span of thousands of years. These choices that he makes. It says, Isaac I loved and Esau I hated. They weren't even born yet. So it's not unlike him to choose for himself and determine for himself, especially in the case of Jacob and Esau. Jacob I loved and Esau I hated. It's not uncharacteristic for him to determine these things and choose before anybody does anything, right? And I think these things are on purpose. Otherwise, why would they be so specific? Isaac has twins, Jacob and Esau. They are twins. And God chooses to send the line through Jacob. And he rejects Esau. It says that Jacob I loved, Esau I hated. And this is referring to them when they're still in the womb. And Jacob is born second. So it's not like he's honoring the first, the oldest. So there's the reasons are always counter. I believe Abel was the younger, and he had the lamb sacrifice, not the grain or food vegetable sacrifice. So he's always choosing these other things, and the choosing the second, not the first, and So it's not uncharacteristic for God to just be choosy about certain things from the jump. At the same time, the gift of salvation, he does say that it was for the world. There's some other, there's another implication with the predestination, is that once you are saved, you are saved. Always. You cannot unsave yourself. You cannot truly be saved and then lose your salvation. Fair enough, right? Because if your name is written down, stays written down. If God determined that Jesus' blood was going to be covering you, well, it's just not going to stop covering you. Otherwise, his blood is not that powerful, right? If it blotted out your sins, it blotted out your sins. It's done. It's not you're not putting your sins back on you. So you will not reject him in the long run. You might go through spells. You might go through, and no one knows the moment that they were saved for the most part. Some people may, but you really don't know until way down the road. Looking back at it, you go, okay, maybe then, but maybe you don't know. It's not for us to know. So in Romans 8:28, I'll pull it up just so I can be accurate here. Oh, wow. Just flip to it. That's pretty crazy. I'll read that. I'll read the whole excerpt here. We'll start back in I don't know, 24? I don't know. This might not be a great place to start, but I'm starting at 24. For in hope we have been saved. But hope that is seen is not hope. For who hopes for what he already sees? But if we hope for what we do not see, with perseverance we wait eagerly for it. In the same way, the Spirit also helps our weakness, for we do not know how to pray as we should, but the Spirit himself intercedes for us with groanings too deep for words. For he who searches the heart knows the mind of the Spirit, because he intercedes for the saints according to the will of God. And we know that God causes all things to work together for those who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose. For those whom he foreknew, he also predestined, conformed to the image of his Son, so that he would be the firstborn among the brethren. For those whom he predestined, he called, and those whom he called, he justified, and those whom he justified, he glorified. So it's not like the concept just like fell out of the sky. It says it. Those whom he predestined to be conformed in the image of his Son. Those he predestined, he called. The called, he justified. Justified, he glorified. You know? It seems pretty cut and dry there. So then it's like, well, why do we pray if God's just going to save them anyway? Because the saving mechanism, his calling, is via us. My sheep hear my voice. Jesus said, I came to seek and save the lost. There's an element here where we're taking, in a certain sense, just follow me, just follow me. Who has the keys to the pearly gates? Is it us or is it God? I didn't make heaven. I don't own it. I don't have any right to God's presence. So if I'm like, I want to go to heaven, I'm just going to go. I'm going to believe in Jesus. This is such a dumb thing. When I say it out loud, it sounds so dumb, but just follow me here for a minute. If God wanted me to come to heaven and I said, no, I'm not going, then what? What happens there? Who actually has control over my soul? Can God press me to the point that I kneel on this side of life? Can he alter the state of things so that I conform and I repent and I yield? I think yes. I don't think I'm more powerful than him. I don't think I can resist him if he so chose to make himself irresistible, right? To make the call so loud, so glaringly obvious that you force my hand, I'm gonna repent, right? Like he did to Saul, and we converted to Paul. It's like heaven opens up and like, whoosh, you're blind. But I don't know that it works the other way around. At least we don't have any examples of it. So it just goes based on assumption, right? We do see God actively like, hey, follow me. Paul or Saul, why do you persecute me? You know, like we see these interactions, we see these interventions. Abraham, take off, dude. Jacob, David. You know, we see these things. I don't know that we have examples of the other way around. So, you know, it's ideally you wouldn't want God to be like, no, not you. Them. But that's not really what the thing is. It's not really what it is. It's that he has allowed some of us to hear. We don't know why. We don't deserve it. And we know that. We know that. The thought that it could just easily have not been me or could not be me is chilling. And yet still, for some reason that I'll never know, it's not this heartless thing. It's a helpless thing. You go, nothing? I did nothing. I did nothing. What I did was a result of what you had done for me. There's a beauty in that. There's a beauty in that. And a lot of people, they want to try to save God from this idea of him being some sort of like, brute or savage who's just doesn't care about people or is going to actively listen. Jesus says himself, Father, it pleases me that you have hidden this from the wise and revealed it to the babes, right? To the simple-minded. The simpletons cannot. This whole thing is so plain and simple. And you've revealed it, or in some ways so complex. And yet still, the simple ones can understand it. You've hidden it from these hoity-toities, these high and mighties. Hidden it. So it's not out of his character to put the wall up so you can't see through. It's for his glory. But I'm not saying which one you got to believe. And I'm not saying that believing either one is going to determine where you end up. That's not the case, I don't think, at all. I'm not saying which one even I think is right. I think it's a blend. I think that free will is a little bit more complicated. And I think that God himself, his sense of justice, what is actually just and actually merciful, is a little bit more nuanced and complex than my ability to really, determine for myself. And honestly, I'm just a guy. Who am I to determine, actually, I don't think that that's quite just. Actually, no, that's not me. I take the weight of things and I say it definitely leans heavier to him choosing a people for himself, a remnant to save. Because I don't think he fails the mission. Not that there is a failing of the mission. He saves whom he saves. But yeah, I think that there is a mission sense to it where my sheep hear my voice and I'm going to save my sheep. Do people become his sheep? Maybe. Maybe. I don't know. He didn't say that, but maybe. But yeah, it's a lot to think about there. And, I've seen like debates about this stuff, and I can't watch debates, man. I can't watch Christian debates. Really any debates, but definitely ones with, it just kills me. They just kill me, man. I was watching one with I think it was the guys from the Apologia Studios. I don't remember what their names are. The dude, the big build, Jeff Durbin or something like that. And I like him on his own, or when he's on the street. It's pretty good. But in a debate, I don't remember which one it was, but it was just he started talking about going at each other's attitudes, and you're being this and you're that, and you're so angry. Just turn the word loose and let that do the thing. Can't do it. Saw another guy, some scientist guy with Dave the science guy, or Dave what's his name? Dave whatever, some YouTuber guy. And it's just it bums me out. It bums me out when they get super emotional and all theatrical with the stuff, man. I'm just come on. I can't watch that stuff. But you try to hear both sides of it, and it's like it's tough to hear both sides because it's like people get married to the idea. People get married to the concept. And it's like, no, don't get married to the concept. If it's, what's it called? Pelagianism. I think that's what it's called. Why am I forgetting all this stuff? It's like after midnight, so maybe that's the reason. I think it's what it's called. Versus like a Calvinism, which is like the predestination side. It's like, it doesn't really matter to us. These are intellectual arguments for like super dorks. It's like, yeah, you want to divvy out, and understand the material and the nature of God and who he is and how he's interacting with us as accurately as you can be. 100%. Just reconcile the texts. And if you can do it both ways, and you can do it both ways. And if you can't, then you can't. I don't think you can perfectly reconcile it both ways. I think it does lean heavily on one side. But, yeah, that's the extent of it. Not married to the idea. You get these guys that are just married to the idea. Like, oh, it's this, not that. I can't believe you're... Yeah. It's just bums. I wanted to watch the Wesley Huff and Billy Carson one, but again, I don't want to get bummed out by people being dorks, people being like so cringe when they're doing a debate. I would never do one. I would never do a debate, dude, ever. Just answer this question for me. I could never do it, dude. I can not in that format. Your dialogue for sure. We can have a conversation. Absolutely. I've done it. I was talking about on the last podcast. I had those two guys that were like street door knocking or whatever, and they came in and talked, and we had a conversation, and we did a little chess match, and I definitely, checkmated. But I'm not. Well, listen, just answer the question. But you can't answer the question. You can't answer the question. He's not going to answer the question. Oh my gosh, dude. That's the most cringy thing ever, dude. My freaking face is itching just thinking about it. I can't. So anyway, I wanted to watch the Wesley Huff one, and I don't think that he's a super, obviously on paper he's a super dork, but I don't think in like speak he's a super dork. I've seen clips, and I don't think he was cringing out. I'm not going to put that on my man there. I don't know him, but he seems like a cool guy. So I'm not gonna say he was cringy, but I don't want to watch it because just in case, I don't want to get bummed out. I really don't. But man, dude, Billy Carson. Let me defend Billy Carson for a second. Just stick to the gaps. If Billy just sticks to the gap, and people like Billy because he's not the only one who does it, just stick to where there is gray areas. If you're going to talk Bible, there's gray areas. Listen, I don't know if you guys know this. According to the biblical timeline, right? And again, just going off the biblical timeline. From Adam to Noah, right? Genesis, let me get it for you, just so you know I'm not pulling your leg, dude. Let me see. Dude. Bro, this rocked my Casbah when I first saw this, when I realized this. Okay. From Genesis, I'm not even going to say 1 because we don't really know how long these folks were in the garden, right? I'm talking from Genesis 4 to Genesis 8. No, 7. No. Yeah, 7. From Genesis about 4 to Genesis about 7 is thousands of years. Did you know that? It's like Adam was like 800 something according to the Bible. His son Seth was, I think, 800 something. And then he had a son something who was, 700 something. And then he had a son, and I think then it was Noah, or Noah was after that. Great-grandson. Great-grandson? Great-grandson? Great-great-grandson. Yeah, pretty sure it was Seth, then what? Methuselah, then let me get it. Hold on. Because it's one of those begots. Seth lived 800, and then Seth, Enosh, 800, then Kenan. So he was 950, or no, 95, and then Kenan, and then Mahalalel, and then Jared, Enoch, then Methuselah, then Lamech, then Noah. Bro, thousands of years. Thousands of years passed. I think like 2. At least 2. In 4 chapters, bro. 4. From Genesis 8 to Matthew is another 2,000 years. From Matthew to now is another 2,000 years. Right? Think of all the history that has been documented between Matthew and now. And think of how dense this book is. The whole entire book is between Noah and a little bit after Jesus. 80-ish years after Jesus, maybe 90 years after Jesus. The whole entire book spans 2,000 years. 4 chapters in the very beginning span over 2,000 years. Nothing is written about it. It was blotted out from human existence. There are only myths and legends about what happened in those early 2,000 years. Hey, Bill, talk about that. The pyramids have water erosion on them? Probably built before the flood. Talk about that. Giants? Says there's giants. Talk about that. The Book of Enoch? Talk about that. The Book of Jasher? Talk about that. The Book of Adam, or the Abomination, or Apocalypse of Adam, whatever it's called? Talk about that. There's so much stuff there. 2,000 years of nothing. Nothing, 0 things written about it. All of the craziest things were for sure happening there. You want breakaway civilizations that all conspiracy theorists believe about? That's what that time was. That's when the pyramids got built. That's when everybody learned about the stuff. Read Jasher, read Enoch. It's all crazy stuff. Read, he talks about the stuff. The Anunnaki and the Nephilim and all that, they're all just different names for the same things, coming down on Mount Hermon, teaching us about stuff we should know about, ought not to know about, according to the Book of Enoch. The fish god coming out and talking to the whatever tribe, telling them about Sirius C, star you can't see, but they know about it. Turns out that thing that they were worshiping is Dagon that then appears in the Bible later? Talk about that. So much gray area. So much gray area in just that 2,000 years. A third of what's documented. A third of the time period that's documented isn't documented. Talk about that. If you stick to that, dude, you make a career out of that. That's my defense, Billy. Obviously, stay away from Jesus. It's well documented, dude. Well documented. Stay out of the New Testament. Well documented. Stick between Genesis 4 and Genesis 8. And golden. And then if you really want to like color in between like 8 and 20 with the book of Jasher, have at it, dude. Anyway. Yeah, man. That dude that blew my mind when I realized that. That was crazy. It's wild. Could you imagine things being so gnarly that God's like, we can never let them know about this later. Never. This is getting deleted. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. But, sometimes I feel like we're getting toward that again. I feel like we're approaching like they say the Tower of Babel was like a 3 days journey across. I don't know if that's like circumference or diameter, but it was huge. It was not like the Leaning Tower of Pisa, just really tall. This thing was like a citadel that was days journey across. They were trying to do something, man. The pyramids, trying to do something. They're trying to do something, man. Coordinating something, trying to see something, trying to get somewhere. It was not just for look what we did. No. They're too smart, too much resources, and too over the top of an intervention to stop what humans were doing. And I feel like we're getting pretty close to doing stuff like that again. Leaving the planet, making robots, making AI, making super heavily integrated systems, quantum computer. I mean, we're just getting really crazy, When you get to the point, right, what the Bible says is like if they hadn't confused the languages, right, there's nothing that we couldn't do. Well, we all speak the same language now, man. We all speak the same language now. So we're going to get to the point. And once we get to the point where there's no war, bro, we're getting reset. It's going to happen. We be doing crazy stuff. That's what we do. We just get into kooky stuff. We start getting crazy. We start, hey, let's figure out how to do this. And we'll figure it out. That's just what we do. We're geniuses, man. People try to say that we're like, oh, we're just monkeys. No, we're not. No, we're not. Nope. Monkeys didn't make Mylar. No, we're not. Monkeys can't make the internet. Have you ever seen how they program a microchip? Dude, the zoom in that you have to do all the way in. I'm talking all the way in. And then they're writing stuff on it. Come on, dude. Monkey ain't doing that. Monkey would never think of how to do that. Bro, I saw this guy explain how to get like sand into silica to make like, dude. Huh? Monkey ain't doing that. We are not like them, dude. There's nothing like us. And we be doing some wild stuff. And eventually it's going to bite us in the butt. We're going to, what's happened is going to happen. What happens is going to happen. Ooh, I know. We can talk about some other controversial stuff maybe in the next episode. Should we just hit one more? Should we just hit one more? What should we do? I don't know. Well, look. No, I can't. There's no way. I can't jump into that one. Can't jump into that. Maybe next time, dude. Maybe next time. We'll talk Rapture stuff next time. Maybe we'll talk Rapture stuff next time. I don't know. Bro, well, I was just started doing jujitsu. Dude, I know what I wanted to talk about, bro. I started doing jujitsu, right? And so like my Instagram, I bought a gi or some rash guard and some other stuff just to, make sure I'm not getting, staph infections and stuff. Just trying to be, hygienic about this stuff. And bro, so Instagram's like, oh, you just bought something on Amazon? Let's show you only kung fu stuff now and jujitsu stuff now. So I'm on, just looking and, different submissions and cool things and things to keep in mind. It's cool. It's fun to watch or whatever. I just imagine myself doing it. And then I go to class and I just get absolutely mauled. But then I started seeing like these posts from McDojo Life, which is those guys who do like fake karate. And it was like these Christian evangelists, whatever. I don't know what they are, dude. I don't know what they are. And they're talking about how karate is from the devil and like the open palm technique is like, or opening the palm is like opening your hand to Satan. Now he's in control of it. Bro, I was laughing so hard. It's the goofiest thing I've ever heard of. It's got to be top 5 goofy things I've ever heard of, bro. Just a bunch of dorks being like, if you ever like got up in their face, they'd hit you with the, the like hyper open hands, with the bendy back fingers. Oh my gosh, dude, they so would. Oh my gosh, they so would, man. Just wow, man. And they say this stuff on TV. They say it on TV to other human beings in public. Oh my gosh. Makes me laugh, dude. It's just so goofy. I wonder if I can find one just to share. Bro, I was dying. I couldn't believe how stupid it was. Oh, I think I did save one. Hold on. Where is it, man? Ah, man, dude. I listen. Social media, I have my reservations about it. I don't know if it's a net positive for society or not, but I tell you what, it's good for a laugh. It's definitely good for a laugh. Every once in a while, you just get hit with a good, solid chuckle. You get hit with a good haha. Oh man, did I not save one? Did I not even like one? Like what am I doing with my life, dude? When I find funny stuff and I don't like it. Did I really not? That bums me out, man. Let me check. I might have sent one to. Nope, I didn't. Dang it, man. I'm useless. I'm freaking useless, bro. I just wasted both of our times. God. Both of our times. Why did I do that? I'm still looking, as I really do think that I saved one. But there's no point. I didn't. Dumb. Man, I'm dumb. I swear I did, but I must not have. Oh, well. Anyway, it made me laugh. I thought that was the funniest thing ever because it's like, of all the things that are out there that are happening, so many crazy, wild things happening out in the world. people doing, I've seen videos, dudes like admitting to doing like human sacrifices and all kinds of like wild, nasty, disgusting things, child sacrifices out in different places, all this kind of stuff to talk about, all this sort of thing to go after. And you're like analyzing the movements and the breath patterns of karate. Whoosh! 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 Okay. And then in the comments, dude, the comments had me going. I don't know why I didn't save this, man. Was it on YouTube? Maybe it was a YouTube short. No, it couldn't have been a YouTube short. The comments are too good. The comments were way too good for it to be on YouTube. It definitely wasn't on YouTube. It was Instagram. Dang it, dude. Gosh. Makes me angry. Dude, the comments were so funny. They're like, oh, sick, dude. I have demon power now. I have demon power now. Oh, dude. They were like, oh, get ready to feel the freaking hell punch. Oh, dude, it was so funny, man. Oh, a bunch of dorks. Oh, my gosh. You got to love it, bro. They do that with everything, man. I remember I had some neighbors, and like they wouldn't let their son say evil. He had to say Eefsol. I had friends growing up that couldn't watch like Harry Potter because they did magic in it. It's like, yo, magic is real. You watch Harry Potter doesn't mean your kids are going to get into the occult. I get it. It's in scriptures. It's obviously frowned upon. Don't do it. But it's not that. It's like fantasy make-believe stuff. I get it. At the end of the day, I'm not trying to say you should be watching, Harry Potter and Wizards of Waverly Place. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that there's way bigger and more important things to focus on. Bro, I have friends, I'm not exaggerating. I have friends that grew up like that, couldn't watch the Lord of the Rings because it had magic in it, couldn't watch Harry Potter because it had magic in it, and don't believe anymore. Anyway, didn't make a difference. Didn't make a difference. So, if it's not like, I don't know, man. I don't know, man. It's just funny to know that there's some people out there that take like the minutia and maximize it and then miss the big stuff. Like those same friends fundamentally do not understand the nature of God at like basic levels. The same people just don't get it. It completely lost on them. Like nobody spent time to like sit there and answer their questions and pick their brains and have their brains picked and have their own, positions challenged and do, the back of like growing up, I was able to watch all kinds of stuff that I would never let my kids watch. But it wasn't like, it was never like sexually inappropriate or anything like that. My parents were squeaky about that for the most part. They watched stuff that I wasn't allowed to watch on that front, but also not anything like too crazy, but I definitely like saw, like heavy make out scenes and stuff like that when I was too young from stuff that they were watching that I would, just like pop into the room. It's old TV. You can't pause, So, yeah, I saw stuff. But they kept everything pretty squeaky. Violence, on the other hand, for the most part, I was probably a little young. My brothers, for sure, in my opinion, were too, like, I remember watching, like, The Gladiator, 9, 10, whenever that came out, whenever that hit the VHS or the DVD. That's a little much, I think. The dude's getting hacked up to be. But then again, today, I don't know. Back in the 90s or whatever, or early 2000s, I would say, yeah, I felt like, I don't know, I would not let my kids watch, like my son, he's 9 now. Nope. Not watching Gladiator. Not watching it. So, I don't know. But, I could play the Mortal Kombat games, and so, like, my parents didn't mind. They didn't shy away from the violent stuff as much. I was playing Halo at like 11. I'm sure kids now. I'm sure that's like, oh. But back in the day, it was different, But yeah, I mean, just I was exposed to more than a lot of my friends were, in some ways. But my parents did shield me from a lot, and until I was, obviously at an appropriate age to hear about this stuff. But then, the whole way, though, all the way through, they were constantly giving me the scriptures at like my level and a little bit ahead. My level and a little bit ahead. They just kind of constantly push my thinking. So my dad would read, just like I'm reading and on the other channel. Just read, and then questions. Every night. Bible story, questions. Every single night. I try to do that with my kids. I'm not as disciplined about it as he is, and I wish I was. I need to be. And there's no wishing. I just need to do it. And that's just the way that he was. And that's just the way that he was. That's just what he did. And all the way until I was a teenager. When I was a teenager, me and my dad would have like far more intellectual conversations, way deeper. I'd, be listening to, he wasn't doing Bible stories anymore, obviously. I'd be listening to other pastors and finding stuff online and getting different questions. And we'd have these long conversations about stuff. And then we just do this it was just like not even a chess game, but we would just do this volley back and forth of ideas. And what about this passage? And yeah, but then it says over here. And then, but also, we have to consider, and we just go back and forth. And like, I don't understand why this. And then he'd go, yeah, let's think about it, and we just do this back and forth, this little volley back and forth. And, it was always open for discussion. It was always open for questions. It was always, a willingness to explain things and an invitation to ask questions, and it was always there. It was never just like, well, that's just because of what it says, or we don't, talk about that. It just was never, everything was fair game to talk about and ask questions about and all that kind of stuff. But I was constantly being fed that all throughout growing up. And then, I feel like that's what you expose on the good end. Is just as important as what you shield. You can't just shield your kids from stuff, but then not give them the wealth of knowledge and not expose them to the good thoughts and the tough questions and the important concepts and the nature of God. Those things are really important because you can't shield your kids from suffering. They're going to suffer, and then they're going to wonder why. I didn't do all this stuff. And then they're going to wonder why they suffer. I didn't, whatever. And then there's pain. I didn't, and then there's questions. I was raised in the church, and no one ever told me about concept that's tough to get your mind around, tough to kind of accept. I was raised in the church, and I never questioned that's difficult to answer, that non-believers have an answer for, and the answer is your thing's fake. You know what I mean? You can't just shield. You have to also give the wealth of knowledge and the depth of knowledge as much as you can to your children. I don't know how we got off on that. Dude, how do we even get anywhere, man? How do we even get anywhere? Anyway, dude, like, don't get lost on whether your kids can say evil or not, right? How did my light die? Thought I had plugged in. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah. Don't be a dork. Don't be a friggin' dork, dude. Be regular. That's the name of the episode, dude. Don't be a dork. Anyway, I gotta go to bed. I think it's about time. Thanks for hanging out, dude. We were just hanging out, dude. This felt like a hang, and I appreciate it. Drop some comments. Tell me how you're doing. Check out the Bible stories. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.